Okay, so we are looking at patty paper today. So the first thing I want you guys to do is turn this packet over and take out a piece of patty paper. Okay? So I want you guys to feel this patty paper. Do you see how one side is shiny? One side is rough. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, you want to draw on the rough side. If you draw on this side, it does, excuse me, I am recording right now. I am teaching right now. You should not be talking. Shh. If you write on this side, especially if you write in ink, it's going to rub off on your hands. If you rub up on the rough side, it goes real well. Okay? All right, let's turn our packet over. We're going to look at our first page. We're going to use only patty paper and no other tools than a straight edge and a pencil or a pen to draw with. Okay? So we're going to do a couple of each of these, one of each of these, and then you're going to do the rest on your own. All right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my patty paper. Okay? And I want to copy, I want to bisect a line. So I'm going to copy this line down. I might, if I'm like feel like my pen's wiggling quite a bit, I might take my ruler or my protractor and line it up so I can slide it against it. So I have a nice straight line. Okay? Now I got to make sure that line is the exact same length. Okay, now it says to bisect. So now I need you guys to look up here and pay attention. I've got my line. To bisect a line, what does that mean again?
Cut in half.
Cut it in half, okay? So to cut it in half, I am going to take my patty paper and I'm going to put my end points right on top of each other. See how I can see and it's not right on top of each other? It's kind of light through the paper. I want them exactly on top of each other, and that's when I'm going to make my crease. Then I'm going to open it up. See where that crease is? I'm going to draw a line right along the crease. I've bisected my line. Pretty straightforward, right? Make the endpoints match. You know both sides are then the same. You're done. Bisecting a line. Questions about this? Remember, so in case you missed it, you're lining up your endpoints exactly. See how it's not exact? I'm going to make sure it's exactly. And then I create that crease. Draw along the crease. Okay, I might use one patty paper for all of my lines. So if you want to set this aside, that's fine. And you can come back and do number 2 and 3. All right? We're going to talk about bisecting an angle. Bisecting again means to cut it in half. So an obtuse angle, what does obtuse mean again? More than 90 degrees. Okay. So I am going to take my ruler or my protractor if I didn't grab a ruler, and I'm going to make sure to copy this angle down. I'm going to make sure it's copied down. So we agree we've copied it pretty good? Okay, now you're going to fold it at its vertex. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it so that I line the lines on top of each other at its vertex. See how I can't see my line? See the line underneath it? I want it exactly on top, folded at the vertex. Okay, so I've created this right here, and then I can draw along my crease showing my bisected angle. Okay, so let me go through those instructions again. I traced my angle. Then I folded the lines on top of each other, the rays of my angle on top of each other at the vertex. When I opened it up, a line went right through the vertex, dividing it in half, and I traced that. How are we doing with bisecting an angle? Good? Questions? I might do all 3 of the angles on one piece of paper, so I might put this paper aside and come back to it. Does that make sense? Okay. So now we're going to create a perpendicular bisector. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to trace that long line. But one of the things I'm going to make sure I do is I line the top of the paper right up, making sure it's parallel. Okay? Copy that line exactly down, making sure the top of my paper is parallel to the line. So I just went back. It told me, use the long line you made when bisecting the line, and we're going to make a perpendicular bisector. The only difference with a perpendicular bisector is you have to make sure it cuts the line in half at 90 degrees. So when I fold this in half, I'm going to check. See my paper, how my paper's perfect too? My paper's not over like this, right? They're right on top of each other. When I fold that line, this is making sure I have a 90-degree angle right there. That's my perpendicular bisector. Okay. Copying an angle, I'm not even going to do this one for you. Copying an angle, you're literally tracing onto the piece of paper. You guys can go back to, you can trace this. I know you can trace things. Okay. All right. Parallel lines. This is one of the harder ones. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to this original line and trace it. Okay? So I have, this is for parallel lines, and I might write this on my paper. All right? Then I'm going to bisect it. I'm going to cut it in half at 90 degrees. Okay? So that's my 90-degree line, right? At 90 degrees. All right? Now, I want to take this line I have right here that I've drawn, and I want to fold that in half. Okay? And then I've created a new line right here that is perpendicular to my second line, but it's parallel. They are now parallel to each other. And again, I'm drawing those double arrows so that I know that's how I tell if something's parallel. So remember, what we're doing is we're copying a line, bisecting it, and that new line that we've drawn along the crease, we're then bisecting that one. That's it. So it's 2 bisectings. Copy a line, fold it in half, draw a line. That new line that you've drawn, fold that in half, draw a line. Okay? All right. So I have done one of each of these, except for copying a line and angle, because you can just trace it. So we've done that. So now I'm going to move on to our fun and exciting protractor. Okay, so we need to talk about using a protractor. So, right here, this is a protractor. If you have a clear protractor in front of you, which I believe most of you do, make sure you can read all the numbers. Okay? Now we're going to measure one together. I'm going to look at number 2. So everybody move on to number 2. Everybody has their protractor paper in front of them and a protractor in front of them. Yes? Okay, see this little see-through hole? If you have a metal one, you see the little like rhombus? Okay. You're going to put the see-through hole over the vertex, and this little line that is right there next to it, you're going to set it up with the line that's horizontal. Okay? Then I'm going to look here. All right, if I think of this as 90 degrees, is this angle going to be 60 degrees or is it going to be 120? This is 90 right here. Does this make it get bigger or smaller? Bigger, right? So it's not 61, it's about, I get about 121. Does that make sense? Does anybody else have questions about how to use the protractor to measure a degree? Okay. Let's draw a degree then. Let's do number 5. We're going to do 18 degrees. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my protractor and I'm going to trace a line, draw a line along the bottom. Okay? Now in this case, I'm going to make this my vertex right here. You could have made the other end, but I'm going to make that my vertex for now. I am going to put the circle on top of that dot. Make sure my line is lined up. And then I'm going to look, okay, if this is 0, that must be 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 15 degrees. So 18 is about here. Okay? Now I'm going to move my protractor. I am going to line up the 2 points. I'm going to line the point I made up with my vertex. And I don't have to draw it the whole way, guys. You don't have to draw it the whole way. So I'm just going to draw it about that far. That right there, that's 18 degrees. Feel okay with that? Maybe just some practice and we'll be all right? All right, let's turn it over. We're going to talk about 2 words that I've brought up before. Complementary and supplementary. What does complementary mean? It adds up to what? What does complementary mean? It adds up to how many degrees? 90. Supplementary means it adds up to 180. So 9 and 10 you should just be able to do from that. Okay? 11. We're going to decide if 11 is either complementary, supplementary, or not anything. So I'm going to take my protractor and I'm going to measure this first angle right here. I'm going to say it's about 55 degrees. Okay. If that's 55 degrees, and if I want the next one to be complementary, 55 plus what equals 90? 55, 65, 75, 85. We got to get 35. Okay, let's see if the next one is approximately 35 degrees. I get like 54 degrees. So I'm going to say neither. Okay? You're going to measure these 2 and tell me if they're complementary, supplementary, or neither. Okay. Any questions about patty paper or protractors? Patty paper or protractors? Okay, guys. You have the rest of the hour to work on these. When you are finished, come up and turn in your protractor and ruler and any extra patty paper and pick up your homework. These will be checked in tomorrow. You can bring these up if you want to staple your patty paper to your patty paper packet, but I am not collecting them today. Questions? All right, guys. You have the rest of the hour to work on this. Let's go.